Hi, welcome to the Industry Astrology Full Moon Forecast for January 28th, 2021. The moon is waxing, the energy is building. How are you feeling? The moon is waxing, and on January 28th at 11:16 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will reach its peak, the end of the Purnima Tithi, and begin to wane again. Energized, hopeful, emotional. This full moon is a very powerful and auspicious full moon in the sidereal sign of Cancer in Vedic astrology. Very powerful place for the full moon to be. And I decided to celebrate this full moon near the ocean. I'm here in Costa Rica. The sun setting over the Pacific. This full moon really imbibes the power of the ocean in many ways because Cancer is the sign of the deep emotions, the caring and the compassion, the heart-centered emotions of the inner child, and how we nourish that inner child or the people around us, the earth itself. This full moon is in the Nakshatra, or the Vedic lunar mansion called Pushya, Pushya Nakshatra. Pushya is a star of nourishment. It's a star that has the Shakti to create spiritual energy. It's very concerned with others, especially the right dharmic path, because it's connected to Brihaspati, the guru of the gods. So how we counsel and advise each other, how we guide each other. This is a nakshatra of education, of higher wisdom. And it is also a nakshatra that's deeply concerned with protection of our most vulnerable, of our children and our elderly. And in this time where we're still under a great deal of pressure from the pandemic and from economic stresses, this full moon seems to bring in a light of hope and action too, because Jupiter, this expansive planet, is in a direct aspect to this full moon, creating Kesari yoga. Kesari means lion, gives courage and a concern for these higher principles and a greater kind of awareness of how we can work together, perhaps connect and bring forth a better sense of support and nourishment in our world. The constellation within Cancer is kind of hard to see. It's a constellation of stars that's very faint. Pushya in particular is right in the heart of Cancer, and it's actually called the beehive. It's like a nebula of a cluster of stars. Now, bees and honey are a symbol of unity, of community, worker bees that come together to serve a higher goal, to save and create a space of community where all can benefit. So Pushya has this awareness of what is needed beyond personal needs. But also Pushya can help us connect with our inner needs, especially if we haven't been in alignment or in complete awareness of what our needs are. So this is a great time for inner child work, for speaking our mind. Mars, that fierce warrior planet Mars, is very strong right now in Aries and making a direct aspect on this moon. It's also very close to that Uranus, that freedom, awakening planet. So this is a time when, while there's a lot of good intention and deep connection to what's true and authentic in our hearts, there is also a kind of a fierceness, a courage that can help us step up and speak what our needs are or connect to our needs in a different way. So using this time to take action or plan action could be really fertile, especially in the weeks to come. Anything we want to do to help others or create improvements in our world, particularly when it comes to education or with children or with the elderly, or how to nourish in general our hearts. Mercury, though, will be going retrograde just a couple days after this full moon, so just a heads up, Mercury retrograde, it's going to continue until February 20th. I think it's January 30th to February 20th. Mercury retrograde, of course, can slow things down, make delays. And this Mercury retrograde is pretty special because it's aligned with a bunch of other planets in Capricorn right now. Everything's pretty much combust, and Mercury will be there too, moving backwards over all these planets through mid-February. So there's a lot of room for improvement in the weeks to come, and it's true there may be a lot of pressure, especially wherever Capricorn is in your natal chart. So if you know you're a Capricorn rising in particular, this is a pretty powerful time where you can feel a lot of stress and a lot of work, and a lot of need for revision as well, a lot of rework perhaps. Capricorn also in general is a sign of government and bureaucracy, so there may be things needing to be redone, especially with this new president now in the United States. I can see a lot of policies being rewritten, turnarounds, and innovation too. This is what Mercury retrograde can do, just for you and your daily activities as well, ways you can create workarounds or improvements that you hadn't thought of before. So stay open to all sorts of new possibilities in the weeks to come in that way. This is really a pretty powerful lineup of planets coming up in the weeks to come, because Mars is really the only visible planet, and he's going to be sitting very strongly in his own sign. And also we're going to have everything combust. Everything's going to converge in February. Venus and Mercury, also with Jupiter and Saturn and the Sun, all in Capricorn. So we've got a very interesting lineup, kind of a little bit of a pressure cooker coming up. But like I said, this is a very powerful opportunity to be doing some deep inner work, it looks like. This full moon is a great time to be setting intentions for the weeks to come, how to keep your soul nourished, coming back to the source of truth and awareness in your heart, and how to really be of service, perhaps, to how to take action. Okay, so now let's check out what the tarot cards have to say about this Pushya full moon coming up on January 28th. Wow, the sun is setting behind me. So the Queen of Cups, very appropriate for Pushya. This is like the beehive, the deep, it's hard to maybe communicate emotions. We can feel pretty emotional on a full moon like this, because we're coming into our hearts, our needs, our inner children, remember? And our inner mother. Finding boundaries also is important right now because of what I told you about Mars. He's kind of fighting. This full moon's fierce. It's like a fierce emotional intelligence. And the 8. So much nourishment coming through on this full moon that can grow into something in the long term, with patience, with a high sort of setting of intentions. This is a very important full moon for these things, long-term plans. And then finally, wow, the Fool, the child reborn. Just let go and trust. Might be saying something about this Mercury retrograde coming up too, and the fact that it is in such a powerful alignment, this Mercury retrograde, with so many other planets. There's a lot that can be reset and reborn in the next few weeks. Let's take a look. The source of nourishment, the deep watery ocean, the place where our hearts are filled, where our needs are fulfilled, where the spiritual energy thrives and creates the blooming of potential. In time, with patience, with perseverance, perhaps in the next 8 weeks, a new rebirth is coming forward, and we are in the process, something growing step by step, in time, with persistence, with faith. Plant your seed of intention and trust. A whole new possibility is being born now. Wow, good. I finished before the sunset. Thank you so much for coming to the Industry Astrology full moon forecast for this January of 2021. I do offer online readings, Vedic astrology readings and tarot readings. You can book a reading with me. I'll leave a link in the description window. Be sure to get on my newsletter. It's free, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will see you soon on the next new moon.